Rob, thank you. Let's get more on our top story now. News International's setting up of a compensation scheme for those who were the victims of the phone hacking scandal. Let's go live to Dockenfield in Surrey, where we can speak to Rod Dadak, privacy and defamation lawyer at the firm Lewis Silkin. Afternoon to you. So that liability has been admitted in 8 cases. There are many more. What happens to those now?
Well, I think there's going to be a time to wait and see what happens next, because there is, of course, the ongoing police investigation. We don't know whether or not there are going to be any charges brought against other people. So for the majority of the people who are waiting at the moment, they will continue to wait and see rather than accept a payout.
Rod, is it likely that it will move from a civil case to a criminal one? And what does that mean? How does it change then?
Well, I think it may well do. I think it just illustrates the gravity of what's been going on. What we don't know is how long has it been going on for, who knew about it, and who's actually concealed it. If you like, this is Murdoch's Watergate, and there's probably a great deal more to come out of the wash.
In terms of what you need in the way of evidence, people need to have the phone records, the recordings. I mean, is there any indication that these sorts of things still exist?
Well, that's of course what we don't know. It's just interesting that there's been a complete volte-face by the police. Initially they said that there was no evidence at all, and now suddenly it's coming out that there is. And one wonders how far up the tree it's actually gone. Who knew about it? Which of the editors knew about it? And of course it does raise a question again for Andy Coulson as to what he might or might not have known.
Does the admission that was made yesterday, will it affect future proceedings?
The object of the exercise is to try and mitigate the damage. To that extent, insofar as there's been an admission, it will be taken into account. And so it may lower the level of damages. The problem is how far there's been a deliberate attempt to conceal the truth about the extent of the hacking that has been carried on. It clearly isn't restricted to just a few individuals. The worry is that, in fact, it goes through the whole of the News of the World editorial structure.
In terms of that, there has been calls for a judicial inquiry, particularly into the Metropolitan Police's original investigations into the handling of that. Do those sorts of things that you're talking about there make the case for that stronger?
Yes, I think it undoubtedly does. I think the great worry for the media as a whole, if I may say so, is that we value our freedom of expression in this country. We do actually have a brilliant press, and it's absolutely vital that this terrible tragedy, if you like, for the media doesn't overshadow the very important role they play in investigative journalism. But you've got to do it by the rules.
It clearly has and will damage News International, the news of the world, but what are the implications for the wider media, for the old Fleet Street, as we call them?
Well, I think they're very serious because, in fairness, it probably has not been restricted to the News of the World. I'm sure that there are other newspapers who have been involved in this sort of conduct. It especially happens with regard to politicians, and I'm sure that therefore there are a number of newspapers who will be very concerned about what is going on and taking steps to ensure that there isn't any hacking being carried out by their staff.
Rob Dadak, we appreciate your time, privacy and defamation lawyer from Lewis Silkin. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Some pictures just reaching us here at Sky